we have our parts out here. I've done a little bit of work ahead of you, not a lot, okay? I've been trying, I really wanted to do a whole lot more work just so you wouldn't watch me do kind of mundane things, but then again, I rob you of the experience to see just kind of how it's done. Before we do much assembly, we've got to use this handy dandy paint pen quick, and what we need to do is these are going to be black. So we're just going to use our paint pen on that. You could use anything to make these black that you want, that's fine. I did ahead of time use some white over here on the back of these mud flaps because those are white. And I forgot to warm up my paint pen, so we're going to do that now too. So we're going to warm up the white paint pen quick. And we will go ahead and put white on these because on the real truck, the mud flaps are white. Okay? So let's get this going. All right, we're going to set this, actually, by the time we get to it, this will be dry, but I do need to just shade this in with some black here. And we're just going to get this kind of, we're not going to do the whole thing because there's going to be tires underneath there hiding it. I just want to get rid of the white. So that's not seen. And if you warm up your paint pen, I usually just stick them in the pocket of my jeans, and that gets that ink or that paint warmed up a little bit. And then it just flows just like you're seeing. It just kind of oozes out, which is really, really nice. Got a little pink overspray here. We'll just kind of clean that up too. We're not going to get real crazy here. Okay. Okay. Oh, I guess we better just do the other side to make it match, shouldn't we? That would be the right thing to do. I didn't want to do both sides, but it's what we need to do here. Yeah, see how that just kind of pours out of the pen? That just makes it so much easier. And by the time we get back to this, it should be dry enough we can go ahead and handle it without getting our fingers in it. Okay, we'll set that here, get that out of the road, and then we're going to work on this. Just a moment, I need to get a helping hands because we're going to need this when we're done. Okay, so Corey says, have you ever printed tires in TPU? I'm using Precision Replicas is actually printing my tires in a soft rubber or plastic. It's malleable, all I know, and I like it. So the guys over there, Carson Bryan is his name. He's been doing my tires for me lately. He says, hey, let me have a stab at that. And he did, and it was awesome. So I'm like, you are the man. So these fenders are die cast, and on the real truck I've made, these are black. So we're just gonna dress them in black. And I'm trying to keep up with questions. If you have any, do not hesitate to ask. I know I say that a lot, but I do want you to know that I just want everyone to learn how to do this. Corey, back to your question about the tires, if you're still listening. I asked factfox.com in China to print my tires, and it was just the one that I printed in plastic, and they said that I forget what the tolerance was for that, but whoops, got a little carried away. my tires, because of the tread pattern, was not 1 mil or something. Anyways, they rejected the file because it didn't meet their minimum tolerance for that particular material. Now everything else it prints fine in, but one thing I've noticed, and it maybe you guys are, well, I know it's because you guys are better at this than I am, regarding design work. Getting tires and wheels to match, to line up without doing extra work to them, has been an absolute disaster for me. It is such a giant pain in the butt. They either come too tight or too loose. They never just slip on, which is why I've gone to Precision Replicas and asked them to print my tires, because now they slip on snug enough that they don't come off on their own, which is what I want. God, I mean, this has been a train wreck getting tires right. So that's why I'm doing it with Precision Replicas. And like I said, China, my present tire, I have to redesign it to make it work better. And I just haven't done that because I think I would lose my tread pattern, which I don't know. Honestly, they could be racing slicks. I mean, who honestly looks at the tread pattern? I know some of you guys really, that's a really important detail to you, and that's great. For me, I'm like, do I really care? I mean, I'm thinking of myself and the people that usually buy my replicas and stuff, and it's kind of like Mike here that bought this one and 2 dump trucks. He's like, Eric, I don't care if they tip. If the beds on the dump trucks tip, because they're never going to leave a shelf. So he says, just get them done. And I'm like, you are the man. Okay, so that is the detail we've put on our lift axle on the back of the mixer. And I'll show you what the finished product looks like. It looks like this. So here's what it looks like, all shined up with black paint pen. Okay, so this is number 2. Or number 1, and I put that together last week when I had some free time here. So we're done with the black paint pen. We're going to set it off to the side. I have a white paint pen here, and we are going to paint these fenders to match the real truck, which is a little bit of white. Now, this paint pen is not just doing an awesome job on here. Look at this. Not glorious, not like, woohoo, that's the greatest thing I've ever seen. It's not. It's not. You may have to go over these a couple times and mix up your paint a little better than I just did. That would be a wise plan. So we'll just give this a little shaky shake. Okay. Okay, now we're going to clean this off a little bit just for fun. Just so we got to start fresh. Okay, now we can come back in here. Hopefully that paint, there we go, that's what we want. Just didn't mix it quite enough. So you may have to go over these things a couple times. Don't worry about it, just do it. Paint pens and Sharpies are the Model Master's secret weapon. Keep them in your shop. They'll just save you a little heartache. Just make fast work of some types of things. Okay. So we're just gonna squidge a little paint out there. If you use a little more than you need, that's not all bad. Remember, this is all going to be covered up with tires. So if it's not, I mean, if you're not entering it in a competition, then I wouldn't get too excited about it. If you're going to put it in a competition where judges are going to handle it and pick it up, turn it upside down, no, okay, yeah. Go ahead and take your time with it, do a little better job. But if it's just going to sit on your shelf and you just want to see it done, well, do what you think you need to do. Okay. By the time we get back to this, this should be nice and dry. Or at least dry enough we don't have to worry about screwing it up. Okay, so there we go. That's all there is to it. And this is just, I bought this at Hobby Lobby, I think. Normally, if I'm someplace and they have paint pens and I need one, I just buy it wherever I'm at. But I know they have them at Hobby Lobby. I know Walmart has a selection of them, and even Napa has some paint pens. I was in there buying paint today, and I saw that they had a selection of paint pens too. So wherever you're comfortable buying them, get them. You need them. Okay. Next thing we need to do is take a look at this frame. If you're going to reuse the driver's side fuel tank, you do not need to do this step. The bottom piece of the driver's side fuel tank on this frame with this mixer, which is a Cat mixer, or no. It is a, yeah, it's a Cat mixer. And I forget what company made this. Anyways, you'll figure it out. The bottom part of this is die cast, and the top part is plastic. So if you're going to reuse the factory fuel tanks, you don't need to do what I did, which is cut this off. But what I want to do, is make this match the real truck, and it has a battery box step on the driver's side. So that's why I took that off. Now, I'm going to use the Handyman's secret weapon right here. Off we go. We're just going to give that a little color. And I'm using just, ta-da. And after it dries, you can go back over it again, and guess what? It makes it just a little darker. Okay, that's going to be covered up with battery box, so that will work. Awesome. Next, on the real one, we have 2-hole buds on the rear. We have a chrome third axle, and we've got floats on the front, and then we've got a 2-hole tag axle on the back. All of these are for sale in my store, except for these, which are stuck on a boat in the ocean someplace. And I have a standing order to get some whenever they come in. So I have videos showing you how to assemble all these already on my channel. And matter of fact, if you go into my store, a lot of times the videos showing you how to assemble these are in the product description. That way you don't have to go looking for them. What I like to do is I usually take a little bit of CA glue when I'm assembling these, and I glue these two halves together. And then after the glue is dried, I will take a 16th inch bit, because I'm using a 16th inch axle, and I will just drill out the hole a little bit. Now, I had a guy follow this same procedure, and then he drilled through this outside rim. On these two halves, this half does not have the hole go all the way through. What I just did was I drilled through this hole, through this side of the wheel, and into this one. But as soon as you're drilling through this piece and you feel it kind of give, it's all by feel. And then, you got some pressure against it, and then you can feel it go through the plastic. You need to back off, and then that way you don't drill through this. Okay. We're just going to go ahead and put these axles on now. Again, I assembled these while you weren't looking, so it's just putting wheels on, nothing fancy there. If you use a 16th inch bit and a 16th inch axle, it's going to be tight. So, and I think I need to shorten that a little bit, don't I? I think I need to shorten that a lot of it. This is piano wire I bought at True Value Hardware. Okay. We are rocking and rolling. Whoop. This axle I cut down while you weren't looking, so it should be good to go. And I would tell you what length those axles need to be, but depending on how far you drill through how far you drill, that will make a difference on how long your axle is. We have a chrome tag axle here. And I probably will have to shorten that up quite a bit. Oh, or not. Oh, I could take about a 1/16 out of that, couldn't I? Yeah, why don't we, huh? That way. Actually, that's not bad. Actually, I might just leave that. That's all right. Okay. If you're using my tag axles, I sell all of these parts right here. Everything you're seeing so far, I sell all that stuff. But if you're using this is one of my designs, and you may need to make that plastic spacer there narrower because they're generally pretty long. Just FYI. Okay, and I need another axle. I thought I cut myself an axle for the floats, and I did not, so we'll do that quick. If you buy your piano wire or whatever rod you're going to use, if you buy it at True Value, like I do, you can buy it in 3-foot pieces, which is kind of nice, because then you get plenty. Just so you know, it's really tough. And I cut that long on purpose. So now we can go ahead and fit that. I also drilled all of these out. All the wheels got drilled out to 1/16. That way, I can use the 16th-inch piano wire for an axle. This particular frame does not steer, which is actually really kind of nice, guys. I'm not going to lie. I think steering axles are, when you take them apart and put them back together again, can be slightly overrated. Wait, whoa, look at that thing. It's way too long, isn't it? No worries. Look at this. Watch this. Let's take a chunk out of it. Roland says, how much is the tire puller? Well, when I get them in, I think, I hate to even tell you what I'm thinking because I don't want anyone to think this is gospel. At this moment, I believe they're going to be $38, which is actually a little cheaper, a couple dollars cheaper than they were before. And I have 50 of them ordered. They're being made as we speak. And then my son is coming home. He is studying to be a private pilot. And now I asked him, because they're being made in the town he lives in, said I may put you on a search and recovery crew to get my wheel pullers. Okay, now we are ready to do some more work. We're going to let that chill. We're just going to put this cab together quick. If you were at the beginning of this project, we drilled out this rivet right down here, and we're putting in our cab glass. That will go in first. Yeah, Roland, just pay attention to my Facebook page or join my email list, and I will let you know. Okay, now, here's a problem you're going to have. All of this plastic right here, if you're using this frame, has to come out because it's going to get in the middle of this frame right here. It's going to be in the way, and guess what? This cab will not set well or not, and it'll just look dumb. So we need to nip all of this off. We also need, and this could be done before you actually paint it, this die cast right here. This works for the original International Durastar frame. However, or Workstar, it does not fit the new frame. So we're just going to bust that off. Okay? And you're seeing just how easy that happens. Bust it off, no worries. Okay, now that's out of the road. This little part right here will not be in our way, so we don't have to worry about that because there's a little space right here for it, so it'll work. Now we need to spend some time nipping off plastic. So all this, just take your flush cut side cutter, come in here, and just start removing it. Just like so, okay? All of this has to come off. I'm really excited to get this tool in. I think we've made it so it won't pinch your hands like the old version did. And for some reason, the geometry, it seems to open up just a little wider too, which is kind of nice. And that wasn't anything I did. That was something that the guys at the machine shop did. Okay. Now we'll just collect all this and toss it in the garbage real fast. Get it out of my way. And then what I want to do now is get a piece of sandpaper and just sand this down. I don't care what sandpaper you use. You don't have to, but I think it'll help you if you do. There we go. We just want to take out all the highs and lows and make this flat. Doesn't have to be glamorous, just do it. Okay, now we need to talk about spacers. This cab is not going to set flush on this frame unless we put some spacers in here. Here's one. This is a piece of scrap styrene. I'm not going to tell you how thick it is because I don't want you to go out and buy styrene just to raise this one cab. Use the scraps you have around your shop, shim it up, dry fit it. If it's not looking right, shim it up a little more until it's sitting level the way you want it to. Okay? That's going to be, I know some vague instructions like that are kind of hard for some guys, but trust me, it's what we're doing is not curing cancer. It's not rocket science. We're just having fun with die cast. So, you know, take it seriously, but don't get carried away. What I'm doing is I'm gluing this cab into the die cast so it doesn't move and everything stays put. While that glue is just doing its thing there, I'm going to go ahead and color a little bit of this. So what will happen, we don't see any white when we put this together. Now it's going to be mostly covered, but just in case your best buddy comes over and he's like, wow, you did really great work. And he won't see any white from your plastic shim. So we're going to take necessary shortcuts where we have to, and then on other parts we won't. Just in case, again, he's over, he's like, wow, look at that cool mixer, Daniel. You did such a great job. I want one of those. Let me look at that. And then you're going to say, if you break it, you buy it, or you owe me a 12-pack, or whatever you're going to do. Then he's going to handle it and look at it and ooh and ah your magnificent, awesome work. And then he's going to sit down, set it down, and then he's going to hammer you in and say, hey, come on, what's it going to take for you to make me one of those? You're like, man, I just do this for fun. Well, come on, I'll pay you. Oh, you will now. And then you can either make it together and he'll pay you, or you can make it for him and he'll pay you, or you just say, let me teach you. Next, this part right here is lower. So we have this, let's take a look at this frame quick. You have this little part right here. See how low that is? That is not flush with this piece of the frame back here. It's all weird, right? So we need to have a shim that goes between this and that, okay? So we're gonna make one. And I just this is scrap again out of my, I keep scrap styrene around just for this purpose. And we're gonna glue this together. If you're wondering what glue I use, there it is, and I sell this in my store. If it's in my store, I've used it. Okay. Now, we're just going to let that chill there for a second. And then we're going to let this come out. And now we're just going to dry fit all this together and see what we got. Now, a piece of plastic just moved on me, so hopefully that doesn't cause us any heartache. But here we go. We can see here, how is this going to work? And our goal is here, we want this cab sitting even over our front axle. What is hanging me up here? Something's caught, I'm caught somewhere. There. Now I'm not caught. So we want to make sure that the cab right here, the door, use this as your line. Look at this and make sure it's parallel to the frame. And then we want to make sure that our cab is centered over the hub or over the front steering wheels. And if we're satisfied that our work is looking pretty darn good, we can pour concrete. What do I mean by that? We're time to do and glue. Time to pour some glue. So we glued the interior in. Now we're gluing our shim to the interior, like so. Then we made this shim right here. And we're going to glue it down. Like so. And we're going to break out our handy dandy secret weapon real quick too. The Sharpie. Because I noticed some die cast was peeking out underneath the front bumper. So we're just going to do this quick. Not all the die cast here, actually it's just right here, this part right here. That was peeking out underneath our front bumper. Didn't like it, making it better. Okay. Now actually before I do that, glue, that's going to be the last thing I do because I got to handle this some more, okay? So we got this ready to go on. We're going to set that there for a second out of the road. Now we're going to put the barrel on. So we're going to need to get our we need that there. And we've got all of our screws in here from when we took it apart. We left our screws in. Good move, right? We're going to need our fenders because those go on first. And we're going to grab our screwdriver. And these go on like so. Oop. Or I could be totally wrong. Where am I going with that? Whose idea was it to put it on backwards? Now we got our screw here, if you can see by my pinky. Oh, come here. Don't you misbehave, you lousy screw. You know who you are, what your job is. that is done. Next, we'll take our screws out of this part. Now we're going to see if this works as well as it did the other night, because the other night this went way easy. I found the first time I did this, getting these threads started straight was kind of a chore. Let's see if we can do it tonight. Holy cow, I think I got it the first time. Hey, that feels good. All right. Okay. Now, that's, you can tighten that screw down. It's designed so the barrel spins. Now we need our frame again. And the back end is going to go right there. And then the front end is going to go right here. Oh, come here. Don't you misbehave. There, just like so. Holy smokes, that's 2 screws that started straight the first time. That's 4 total, because the other night it went well too. Yeah, go ahead and cinch those down. And look at that, la-dee-da. Woohoo! We are cooking with gas, aren't we? Pouring, cooking, we're doing something with gas. Next, we're going to put on our lift axle on the back. Now, I went ahead, if you remember from the teardown video, this was all riveted together. This back here, there was 2 rivets holding that in, holding this in, one on both sides. Well, I don't know how you replace those rivets. If you're going to do this with, you could replace this with just a piece of styrene rod, brass rod, any kind of rod that would go through this hole and then put it together. You would have the rod visible back here. Right here, you would have the hole visible, the rod visible. Okay, because that's where it's gonna, well, if my finger's not in the way, that's where it's gonna go through right there. Well, what I've elected to do is I go ahead and use a pin file in reverse in my drill, not forward, in reverse, and I just ream this hole out a little bit. Why would I do that? Because I'm going to use these 2 tiny screws right here to hold those on. So I need to put some threads down here in the die cast. I've been doing this on a lot of my builds now. I mean, anytime there's a rivet, I usually will replace it with a screw. For most things. So we're just going to put some threads in here. And Corey says cross thread is just free Loctite. Amen to that. As you can see, the hole is already sized proper. So we're just giving it enough thread to where it'll hold that screw in place, and then we can use a little glue to keep it there forever, or at least until the glue gets weird. but probably not anytime soon for you and I. And I've got a whole video on using these screws. And I bought the tap wrench on eBay, and I bought the taps on eBay. All the links are in that video description. I use this for steer tires. That's where I use a lot of times. Steer tires, if I replace steer tires, and hood pins. And looks like my paint was not quite, my white paint wasn't quite dry. Hopefully we don't muckety muck anything up. You wouldn't necessarily have to work as fast as I am. I just want to be respectful of your time and get this build done so we can do other builds. To replace this, make sure that your chute is facing out, like so, and then, ta-da. Then we're just going to go ahead and maybe, just maybe, looks like I maybe bent that just a little bit. Oh no! Shoot! Don't scratch the paint, Eric. You know, I don't want to force anything, so what I'm going to do real quick, just going to give that just a little bit of file here. Make it just a wee bit wider. Why not, huh? You don't want to screw something up this close to the finish line, because that would just ruin your day. Okay, there we go. That's what we want right there. Perfect. Okay. These little Allen wrenches here, you can buy those at the same place you buy your screws. If you buy them from Micro Fasteners like I did, they have this Allen wrench there. Come on. Ooh, dude. Ah, you dirty dog. There we go. That felt right. Okay, other side. And there we go. Perfect. Now, make sure your chute is straight. You know, another thing about these screws is you can, like if you're worried about this falling down, just go ahead and tighten those up, and then guess what? They're just not going to fall. Okay. I want to go ahead and put the wheel on now. Let me get this where you can see it. Actually, I need both hands for this one. In the future, these tag axles are going to be out of a different material, and they are not going to be so darn brittle because the material I'm using is super brittle at the moment. Luckily, I'm just about out of those. And actually, the next batch I've ordered, which haven't shown up, are out of a harder material that won't break quite so easy. Okay, wow, that's not straight. Yikes, don't spin that. If the tires are loose on the wheels, just go ahead and a little dab of glue on the back side. Let me just show you how to do that quick. Little dab of glue will do ya. And then if they happen to be a little loose, then they won't come off. So I just put a little bit of glue right there on the end of my knife. And right here we go. Let's turn that with my blade and we'll do it in another spot. It won't take much, so you don't have to get too carried away, okay? Just a little on the tire and the plastic. That's all you need. Generally, they should fit pretty decent. Like I said, I went to great pains to get that better. I don't know that it's perfect, but it's better. There we go. A little drippy drip of glue for you and for me. Done. Okay, that is finished. Okay, we are good there. Okay. Now we are ready to put this cab on here. So we're gonna do that. We're gonna just dry fit it one more time because dry fitting makes us happy because dadgummit, it cost us nothing to do and gives us peace of mind we're doing it the right way or the way we want it to be done. Okay, this is now dry enough we can attach to this. We've glued this floor pan in. It should be good to go. So we're just gonna pour a little bit of glue out right here, like so. And that was way too much, but you know, yeah, I wanted too much. Okay, so now what I'm doing is I'm looking at it front. Does this cab look square over my front tires? Does this part look square with the frame we have exposed here? Is this thing nice and level? Does it look good? Yes, we're happy. Which means we can, well, yeah, that's not right. There we go, that's better. Okay, let's take one more look here. That's good. That's good. So, what I've been doing on some of this stuff is sometimes I just like that glue to dry overnight. So normally on a cab like this, I wouldn't use Instaset, but since you're watching and I want to put the fuel tank on, the exhaust, and the step on the driver's side, so we're just going to kind of keep things rolling here, which is the reason for the Instaset. Now, I am going to come in here with more glue down the side here. Not a lot, but just an insurance policy on both sides of the frame between that plastic and the frame. Just insurance, so in case my buddy's over here and he's oohing and hawing and, you know, and he's just excited and then he flips on the Jake brake and drives it, you know, across your desk and accidentally drops it, you know, hopefully the cab won't come off. It's not the end of the world if it does, because you know how to do this now and you're an expert, so now you can just fix it and not be mad at him. On the driver's side, passenger side, we've got a tank with a step on the real truck. Now, if you're not replicating something in real life, then now from this point forward, and actually everything we've done, well, I mean, you now have the tools in your toolbox to be able to replicate or repaint a cement mixer just like this by doing a cab swap, repainting the barrel, and whatever else you might want to do. You know, all of the wheels and tires and everything else is completely, what do you like to see? What makes you smile when you look at it? Everything we're doing now is completely up to you unless you're replicating something in real life, which is what I'm doing here. Okay. And the real truck has this style of tank on the passenger side. And I got to reach way over there for my glue. You know, one thing I like to teach guys, well, or women, or whoever's watching here. One, don't compare your work to anyone else's. Don't compare your work to mine. Do not compare your work to mine. Because some of you did not see my early stuff, which was absolute crap. I mean, it wasn't, that's a terrible saying. That's something terrible to say. It wasn't absolute crap. It was as good as I was at that time. I'm better. So just remember, that's where you're at, if you're, especially if you're starting out. There is a toolbox on the passenger side. So don't ever compare your work to someone else's. If what you're doing makes you smile and you're happy as a lark looking at it, then you've done it exactly right. And don't let anyone tell you different. There's some folks, and I understand where they're coming from. They see the world a very specific way, and that's fine. So you're going to post your cool build in a Facebook group. Hey, look at what I did. I'm really proud of this. And, you know, some guys will nitpick you. Some people, I won't say guys, some people will nitpick you. Oh, that's not right. Well, who cares what they think? If it makes you happy, then it's exactly right. Now, does it mean a year from now you'll be building the same kind of work? No, it means today, in this condition, this is what you did, and you're happy. And it's okay. And that's exactly where I want you to be. I want you to be having fun and enjoying yourself. And I hope if I can help you out along the way, then I have accomplished everything I want to do. Okay, so now we have, this is the kind of step on the driver's side, excuse me, wow, as I stumble over it. That's the kind of step on the driver's side. We have our toolbox and our fuel tank on the passenger side. All we're left with is exhaust and mirrors. And then when this thing is done. Now, I did manage to fumble out of these stupid mirrors because these were a jerk to take off. Yeah, I said that. That's right. They're a jerk. Did you hear me? You stupid truck. And, you know, wouldn't it just... I had to break both driver's side mirrors. Look at that. Passenger ones, they're fine. That's cool. Driver's side? Yeah, not so much. So the mirrors are I'm going to have to go to my parts bin and see if I can dig up some mirrors that might work on this thing. Oh, and here's something also I did for you. These are the parts that I used there. These are the parts that I'm using. Okay. We're going to try this one again. Okay, oh yeah, there we go. Now that's what we wanted the first time. I wanted that exhaust right there at the bottom of that cab. Now, dun 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 dun. Right here's the stuff I'm using. And whatever am I doing with this? We're not actually going to solder this, are we? No. We are going to make an elbow to go underneath the cab because this stuff is wicked easy to work with and it's just cheap and works awesome for this particular purpose. Getting it in here underneath this stuff is always a trickaroo, but okay, is that gonna work? So I've just cut a little chunk of this solder right here. Made a 90. I'm gonna sharpen that edge up just a little bit, make that 90 more 90-ish. Now we're gonna go ahead and put a little dab of glue on the end of that. Oh, come on, you. You just go to your home. Happy Gilmore reference for you, all of you 90s guys. There we go. And see how it goes underneath the cab? Now that's actually about ready to fall out, so we're just going to go ahead and do this number right here. Insta set that baby in, and yeah, we're done. Okay. Well, let's take a look at our work. Ta-da! Let's get this stuff out of the way for you. There it is, Johnny. This is pretty cool. That is pretty cool, not gonna lie. That's fun. Okay, now we need to play. Let's go take our freshly minted replica here and park it on my busy highway. Look at that. Yeah, that's cool. Woohoo! There it is, guys. We are done, except for the mirrors, which I gotta go dig out of my extra mirror bin. But there it is. We are DUN done. And there's Bill's name on the door. Actually, there we go. There's Bill's name on the door. Great Bend Ready Mix, Great Bend, Kansas, 65,000 pounds. Number 1. And there we go. We're done except the mirrors.